6 Costly Mistakes in 79. Year-old widow regrets in her later years, a wake-up call for older women. What if the quiet regrets of one elderly woman could spare you years of unnecessary pain? In today's video, we're sharing 6 deeply personal mistakes made by a 79-year-old widow. Choices that seemed harmless at the time, but slowly turned her golden years into a period of silent struggle, isolation, and confusion. Whether you're widowed, married, or living independently, the lessons she learned, often the hard way, can help you avoid similar heartaches in your own journey. She wasn't irresponsible. She wasn't careless. She simply didn't realize what was gradually happening around her. These weren't shocking or dramatic decisions. They were subtle, everyday missteps, the kind that sneak in quietly and grow heavier over time. Until one day, she looked back and realized just how much she had lost. This video isn't meant to frighten you. It's a gentle reflection, a mirror for anyone who wants to age with clarity, dignity, and peace of mind. Her story isn't shared to blame or shame, but to bring light to the important truths that are often left out of conversations about growing older. By the time you reach the end of this video, you'll not only understand what to avoid, but also discover practical ways to protect your future, stay connected, and preserve your independence no matter your age. And if you've already experienced one or two of these mistakes yourself, don't worry. It's never too late to change direction. Stick with me, and together we'll walk through each one, in her words and in mine. Let's begin with mistake number 1, handing over all control to her children. I just wanted to make things easier for them. That's what Martha said when she decided to transfer the deed of her home to her son and added her daughter to her bank account. It felt like the responsible thing to do. After all, her husband had always managed the bills and paperwork. Now, as a widow, she suddenly faced it all alone. Her children were willing to help, so she leaned on them, like many older adults do. At first, it was a relief. Her son took care of repairs. Her daughter handled the bills. The house stayed in order, but slowly, things began to shift. She stopped getting bank statements. Her daughter signed her up for services she didn't know about. When Martha tried to check her property tax schedule, no one gave her a clear answer. One afternoon, when her car broke down and she tried to pay the tow truck with her debit card, it was declined. A message popped up. Approval required. She called her daughter, who was unavailable. And for the first time, Martha felt powerless. That evening, she sat in silence, realizing she couldn't even help herself anymore. Not because she didn't have the money, but because the decisions were no longer hers. According to the National Center for Elder Rights, older adults who give up financial control too early often experience emotional fallout. They're 65% more likely to suffer from lowered self-worth, withdrawal, and even passive depression. And the impact goes deeper. Seniors who stop engaging in decision-making show up to 30% faster cognitive decline. Because when you stop making choices, your brain begins to retire too. Even with good intentions, adult children can unknowingly take away more than tasks. They take away agency. And in rare but real cases, this can escalate into financial abuse or neglect. A 2019 AARP study found that 1 in 5 seniors have experienced some form of financial manipulation by a family member, most without realizing it until it was too late. But not every story ends that way. 2 doors down from Martha lived Claire, also widowed, also in her 80s. Her children too offered to take over. But Claire made a different choice. "Help me, yes," she told them, "but don't remove me." Claire worked with an elder law attorney to set up conditional power of attorney, only active if she became incapacitated. She kept her bank accounts in her name but allowed her daughter view-only access. They met quarterly to review her finances. She stayed informed, asked questions, and remained involved. As a result, Claire continued to make donations to her local church. She gifted her grandson a graduation check without asking permission. She upgraded her home to be more senior safe. And most importantly, she felt sharp, respected, and confident. "I still matter," she told a friend, "not just to them, but to me." Both women loved their families. Both wanted to prepare for the future, but one slowly faded into silence, while the other stood firmly in her own story. Martha would later admit, "They weren't trying to hurt me. They just got used to not asking, and I got used to staying quiet." That silence, over time, became surrender. So what could she have done differently, and what can you still do today? Stay involved. You can still accept help without disappearing. Experts recommend keeping at least one personal account, establishing limited power of attorney, and having open financial conversations before problems arise. Write down your preferences, revisit them regularly, and practice saying, "Thank you for helping, but I want to be part of this." Because love doesn't mean handing everything away. It means staying connected with others and with yourself. Take a moment and ask, are you still in the driver's seat of your life, or have you unknowingly moved to the back? We'd love to hear your story. Share in the comments. What part of your life do you want to stay in control of, no matter what? And if this message resonated, give it a like. Subscribe to Golden Wise Elders for more inspiring, insightful stories. And share this with someone who may need to remember they still hold the pen to their own story. Mistake number 2. Saying yes to loneliness. Loneliness doesn't always arrive with silence. Sometimes it walks in gently, dressed as rest. After her husband passed, Martha told herself she just needed a little time. She turned down her church friend's offer for Sunday service, skipped the monthly book club. When her neighbor invited her over for coffee, she smiled and said, "Maybe next week." No one pressured her. No one knocked twice. At first, she enjoyed the quiet. She had space to grieve, to breathe, to think. But over time, the stillness stopped feeling like peace and started to feel like absence. Meals became simpler. Days blurred together. Laughter was something she remembered more than experience. She wasn't unhappy, but she wasn't connected. She told herself it was fine, that she was just tired, that people were busy. But the truth? She had quietly taught the world to stop inviting her, and the invitation stopped coming. This slow drift into isolation is common and dangerous. According to a Harvard Health report, seniors who are socially isolated face a 45% higher risk of premature death, largely due to weakened cardiovascular health, compromised immune systems, and accelerated cognitive decline. Dr. Elizabeth Park from the UCLA Center for Aging explains, even one meaningful interaction per day, a phone call, a walk, a shared laugh, can trigger the release of oxytocin and dopamine, the body's natural happiness chemicals. But Martha didn't know that, and by the time she realized the silence was hurting her, it had already become a habit. One morning, she found herself reheating yesterday's coffee, staring at the kitchen wall for no reason at all. Not thinking, not planning, just existing. She missed her old sewing group. She missed the sound of other people's voices in the room. She missed being part of something, even if it was small. Rebuilding wasn't easy. She had to push through the initial awkwardness, the worry that she'd forgotten how to make small talk. But she started small, waving at neighbors again, answering the phone instead of letting it ring out, attending a single church service, saying yes just once, and life little by little responded. She was reminded that connection doesn't have to be dramatic. It just has to be consistent. A shared pot of tea, a message left on the answering machine, a neighbor who waves back, because the most dangerous kind of loneliness isn't loud, it's quiet and reasonable, the kind we excuse away until it becomes the only voice in the room. So what can we learn from Martha? You don't need to fill your calendar. You just need one meaningful moment a day. Join a local group, even if it's just once a week. Call a friend in the morning for 10 minutes before the day takes over. Volunteer. Walk where people gather. Even casual hellos help your nervous system feel safe, seen, and alive. Now let me ask you, if you live alone, who do you talk to every day? What's one step you could take today to hear another voice besides your own? Drop a comment and let us know. Your idea might give someone else the nudge they need to reconnect, because sometimes saying yes to one small invitation is how we begin to say yes to life again. Mistake number 3, ignoring financial realities and telling herself, it'll be fine. There's a certain kind of silence that creeps into a home after loss, the kind that piles up in unopened envelopes. After her husband passed, Martha stopped checking the mail. She left the financial statement stacked on the dining table, unopened, untouched. I'll get to it, she told herself. I just need time. Weeks turned into months, and by then, small maintenance fees on one savings account had slowly drained it down. A credit card her husband used for recurring payments went unpaid. She didn't realize the life insurance had lapsed. She didn't cancel a streaming service they no longer used. When her bank called about a suspicious transaction, she froze. Then she apologized. It's probably fine. It wasn't. She had been scammed by a fake IRS agent over the phone, tricked into confirming personal information she barely understood. She didn't tell her children. She didn't want them to think she was slipping, and so she stayed quiet. But silence doesn't protect us. It isolates us from the help we deserve. According to a 2021 report by AARP, nearly 60% of Americans over 70 do not regularly review their personal finances. And as a result, they are significantly more vulnerable to fraud, late fees, account closures, and missed benefits. Many simply feel overwhelmed, embarrassed, or unsure of what questions to ask. Dr. Samuel Blake, a geriatric specialist with over 30 years in elder care, puts it plainly: growing older should not mean hiding. It should mean greater transparency, more support, and smarter systems. Financial clarity is not a luxury. It's a safeguard for your peace of mind. For Martha, the turning point came when she tried to withdraw money for a gift and discovered the account had less than she expected. That night, she gathered the courage to call her daughter. "I think I need help," she whispered. Together, they sat down, logged into her accounts, canceled a half-dozen subscriptions, created a bill tracker, and reached out to a financial advisor who specialized in elder planning. By the end of that week, Martha had something she hadn't felt in a long time: relief. "I thought asking for help would make me feel small," she said, "but instead, I felt free." So many older adults believe financial independence means doing everything alone. But the truth is, financial dignity means knowing when to ask for support and who to trust. You don't need to be a money expert. You just need a system, a schedule, a safe space to speak honestly. Start with 1 hour a week. That's all it takes. Review your accounts. Look for anything unfamiliar. Ask a trusted person to sit with you. Write down what you don't understand, and bring those questions to someone who can walk through them with you without judgment. And remember, your money is not just numbers. It's your choices, your security, your ability to support the people and causes you care about on your own terms. Now let me ask you, when was the last time you checked your bank account? Really checked it? Do you know what's being withdrawn every month? What's set to renew? What might be quietly slipping away? If this is something you've been avoiding, that's okay. You're not alone, and you're not too late. Leave a comment and share one financial habit you want to improve this month. Because financial health isn't just about wealth. It's about freedom, clarity, and peace. The kind that grows stronger when you stop pretending everything is fine and start taking it back into your own hands. Mistake 4, letting bitterness grow instead of healing. There are wounds that bleed quietly, not on the skin, but in the soul. Martha didn't think of herself as angry. She would have told you she was just disappointed, tired, let down. But the truth was, she was holding things in. She was hurt that her best friend hadn't called since the funeral. She was upset that her neighbor no longer stopped by like he used to. She felt invisible when her grandson came to visit, sat on his phone, and barely made eye contact. But Martha said nothing. She smiled politely. She stirred the tea, and she swallowed every emotion like it would eventually dissolve. Until one afternoon, her grandson accidentally knocked over a ceramic vase, a keepsake from her wedding, and Martha exploded. Her voice, louder than even she expected, echoed through the living room. The boy flinched, then fell silent. And in that silence, Martha heard something heavier than broken glass. She heard her own grief, finally finding a way out. That night, she didn't sleep. She realized it wasn't about the vase. It was about everything she hadn't said. The little pains she had collected like dust. The stories she replayed. Who didn't show up? Who didn't say thank you? Who didn't call? She had mistaken silence for strength, but unspoken pain doesn't disappear. It settles inside, hardening us, isolating us, and little by little, it steals our joy. According to the Journal of Aging and Geriatric Psychology, chronic emotional suppression can reduce lifespan by up to 7 years. Not because of the emotion itself, but because of the way unprocessed resentment affects sleep, blood pressure, immunity, and cognitive decline. Dr. Karen Lynn, a leading therapist in senior emotional health, puts it this way: forgiveness isn't about saying it didn't hurt. It's about choosing not to carry that weight into the next chapter of your life. When we release bitterness, we give ourselves room to laugh again, to trust again, to live again. For Martha, healing didn't happen overnight. It started with a notebook, a simple sentence she wrote every morning: I forgive because I want to feel light again. Some days, it was just that line. Other days, she added names, memories, apologies never spoken, words she wished she'd said or never had to, and slowly, something shifted. She called the friend she hadn't spoken to in months and said, I miss you. She sat with her grandson and told him stories instead of scolding him. She let herself cry when she needed to. and laugh when she didn't expect it. Forgiveness didn't erase the past, but it loosened its grip. So what about you? Is there someone, a friend, a sibling, even a child, that you're still carrying resentment toward? Is that weight helping you or holding you back? You don't have to forgive out loud. You can start in private, in writing, with honesty, with love. Not for them, but for yourself. Try this. Write the sentence, I forgive because I want to be free. Do it every day for a week. You might be surprised by how much lighter your days begin to feel. Now I want to hear from you. Who are you still quietly angry with? Who are you ready to release? If this touched something in you, drop a comment below that says, I choose forgiveness. And if you believe we all deserve the peace that comes from letting go, give this video a like, subscribe to Golden Wise Elders, and share this message with someone whose heart may be carrying more than it should. Because the greatest weight we carry in old age is often not the years, but the feelings we were too strong to express, and letting go might just be the bravest thing we ever do. Mistake 5. Neglecting mental health. Believing I'm fine means you are. Martha always prided herself on being strong. She lived through war, through loss, through decades of life's quiet trials. And she rarely complained. She'd say, I'm fine, even when she wasn't sleeping well, even when she hadn't felt joy in weeks, even when food no longer had taste and the days blurred together in stillness. To anyone looking from the outside, she was coping. But on the inside, she was slowly fading. She didn't feel depressed. That word felt too heavy, too clinical. She wasn't sad all the time, just numb. She didn't cry often, but she also didn't laugh. And because she never spoke of it, no one asked. In the quiet of her home, Martha began to lose track of time. She stopped reading the newspaper, forgot to return a neighbor's call, skipped meals, stayed in her robe most days, and slowly, without drama, her world shrank. This, experts say, is one of the most dangerous misconceptions of aging, the belief that mental health declines are just a normal part of growing old. But they're not. They're a warning sign. Dr. Rebecca Lynn, geriatric psychiatrist at Stanford University, explains, untreated depression in seniors doesn't always look like sadness. It often looks like fatigue, forgetfulness, irritability, or disconnection. And when ignored, it becomes a serious threat, not only to emotional well-being, but to physical health as well. In fact, according to the CDC, older adults with undiagnosed mental health conditions are at significantly higher risk for heart disease, weakened immunity, sleep disorders, and even cognitive decline. The brain and the body are deeply connected, and when the heart feels empty, the whole system begins to slow down. Martha didn't realize it until a nurse visiting for a routine checkup asked her a simple question. When was the last time you felt excited about something? She didn't have an answer. That question stayed with her, so she decided to make one small change. She started writing down one thing she was grateful for every morning. At first, it felt forced, but within 2 weeks, she noticed herself looking for good things, not just remembering pain. She called her doctor, asked about therapy. She was nervous, but curious, and with each session, she peeled back a little more of the heaviness. She began taking short walks again, signed up for a memoir writing class at the local senior center, and when someone asked her how she was doing, she no longer just said, fine. She said, I'm healing. Mental health is not a luxury. It's not optional, and it's never too late to tend to the garden of your mind. So if you're watching this and recognizing some of Martha's habits in your own life, please know this. You are not weak. You are not broken. You are human, and you're allowed to need help even now. So here's a simple invitation. Reach out. Call your doctor. Talk to someone you trust. Join a support group. Try journaling. Practice gratitude. Spend 10 minutes outdoors. Your mind deserves attention. Not just your medications, not just your blood pressure, but your thoughts, your feelings, your spirit. Let me ask you, when was the last time you really checked in? Not with your phone, not your bank account, but with your own heart? Are you truly okay, or just used to feeling low? If this spoke to you, please take a moment to write a comment below. Just one word that describes how you really feel today. You might be surprised who replies. Share this with someone who might need to hear it. Someone who says I'm fine, but whose eyes say otherwise. Because the truth is, being strong isn't about never needing help. It's about knowing when it's time to heal and choosing to begin. Mistake number 6, turning down new possibilities. Believing I'm too old to start again. Martha used to be adventurous, She once took a road trip across 5 states just to see a sunflower field in full bloom. She used to paint, to write little poems for her children's birthdays, to bake without recipes. Just instinct. But as the years passed and life became quieter, so did she. One afternoon, a neighbor dropped off a flyer for a memoir writing class at the local library. Martha thanked her politely, closed the door, and tossed it in the bin. Another week, her church group invited her to a cooking demo. She nodded, said she'd think about it, then never followed up. I'm too old to start something new, she told herself. I had my time. Let the young ones have theirs. But what she didn't realize was this. Saying no to possibility is also saying no to growth, to energy, to joy. Martha didn't feel unhappy, but life began to feel smaller. Her days had structure but no spark. Her mind wandered more. She forgot things she used to remember so easily. The colors of her world slowly faded into muted gray. Then one rainy afternoon, while going through her late husband's old belongings, she found a postcard they had kept but never sent. On the back, in his familiar handwriting, he had written, "Still so much to explore. Let's never stop." Martha paused. She ran her fingers across those words, and in that moment something stirred. Not regret, but curiosity. The next day she walked to the library. She signed up for the writing class. Her hands trembled as she filled out the form. Not from fear, but from being out of practice. That single decision changed everything. She met June, a fellow widow who loved gardening. She discovered she still had stories worth telling. She found herself waking up with purpose again, thinking about what to write next, what recipe to try, what memory to share. She wasn't chasing youth. She was honoring the parts of herself that had been waiting quietly for permission to reappear. According to AARP, older adults who continue learning and trying new experiences reduce their risk of cognitive decline by 32%. And as Dr. David Lee, a neurologist specializing in aging and memory, explains, just one new skill a year, dancing, writing, cooking, even learning how to use a new app, is enough to stimulate neural growth and help the brain stay flexible and young. The lesson is simple. It's not about being perfect. It's about staying open. And Martha realized that the moment she stopped growing was the moment she started shrinking. So what about you? Have you recently said no to something because you felt too old, too tired, or too unsure? What would happen if you said yes, just once? Not because you have to prove anything, but because there's a part of you still alive with wonder. Here's something simple you can try. Before this week ends, write down 3 new things you want to explore before the year's over. They don't have to be big. Maybe it's learning to play a new song, joining a class, trying Tai Chi, starting a journal, reaching out to someone new. And then pick one, just one. Because the truth is, new possibilities don't stop knocking, but we have to be willing to open the door. Now I'd love to hear from you. If you could try something new today, what would it be? Drop it in the comments below. Who knows? Someone might try it with you. And don't forget to share this video with someone who needs a gentle nudge to say yes one more time. Because sometimes the bravest thing we do in later life is allow ourselves to begin again. Aging isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning of a quieter, deeper chapter where we finally have time to listen, not just to the world, but to ourselves. Today, you've walked alongside Martha through 6 quiet mistakes. 6 choices that didn't seem dangerous at first, but slowly, gently began to steal her joy, her voice, and her sense of self. Maybe you saw a piece of your own story in hers. Maybe you recognized a loved one. Or maybe it simply made you stop and reflect. And that alone is powerful. Because awareness is where change begins. Whether it's regaining control over your life, reaching out to ease your loneliness, taking charge of your finances, releasing old bitterness, nurturing your mental health, or simply saying yes to one new thing, you are not too late. Not for clarity, not for connection, not for joy. You are still here. You are still becoming. So be gentle with yourself. Make one small shift. Share one meaningful thought. Take one brave step forward. And if this video touched something inside you, if it reminded you that your life still holds so much value, so much beauty, then don't keep that reminder to yourself. Share this video with someone you love, someone who needs a soft voice to say, you still have time, you still matter. And if you see yourself in Martha's story, we invite you to comment below, I still have time to live fully. Let those words be your beginning. If you found value in what you watched today, please don't forget to like this video. It helps us reach more hearts like yours. Hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell icon so you never miss another story that might inspire the next chapter of your life. Here at Golden Wise Elders, we're building more than a channel. We're building a community, a place where age brings not only wisdom, but wonder, where every story reminds us that growing older is not about fading, it's about awakening. Until next time, take care of your heart, your mind, and each other. We'll be right here, walking with you, always.